her, she did not want to be there. She was scared. She didn't want to be there. Things had happened to her with them. And so she kind of just played her role, her part did. But she had ran off with the client's car. And I just remember him spazzing, all this stupid bitch. So he put me upstairs in a room. And stood outside the door collecting money with a basket of condoms in his hand. And that, he knew. Like, he was putting the gun in me, then rubbing it on my face. He was, oh, I'm gonna take you back to his country. He was saying, I'm gonna take you back.
You can't see it yet, but gotta feel your emptiness. Along the way, you'll make some progress. You gon' have to trust the process. Look at me, I know I've been down this road before. I wrestled God to let me go, but I'm so grateful He said no. This is not your final call. This is not the last act. You gon' take it all. Just hold on. I know He gon' bring you back.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Whitney. So I wanted to make a video because I was scrolling down Facebook, because I'm always scrolling down Facebook, and I see a lot of people making light about the whole, there was a meme I said or saw, or a status I saw saying, oh, now every woman has a human trafficking story, blah blah blah, like it was let's make, it's not that serious. What does it look like? What does human trafficking look like? I think people have this idea in their head that human trafficking looks like being taken out of the country and like starved and forced to have sex with these random people, or a whole bunch of people, and then put in a cave somewhere or a dungeon somewhere. Like, I think they think the extreme when it comes to sex trafficking of women and young women, or that you have to be young. Some people think you have to be a child. You can be an adult and trafficked too, and it doesn't necessarily look like what you might see on a movie. It's happening right here in our own cities every fucking day. And people don't think of it as human trafficking. When you have young 16, 13, whatever year old girls with these grown ass men, and these grown ass men are taking advantage of their situation, maybe they're homeless, whatever, or they're intimidating them and using fear tactics and stuff like that, and they have them out there on places like Backpage and Craigslist and this, that, and the third. That is sex trafficking. Okay, I was younger. I was forced into prostitution at the age of 13. I was a runaway. I had ran away from home. Well, at this point, I think it was like a foster home I had left from. But anywho, I was a runaway. I'd run away. Sometimes I'd get kicked out, but most of the time I'd run away. So I'd run away. Eventually, I ran away to the point where they put me in foster care because I didn't want to be at my grandmother's house. And then I ran away from foster care. Like, at that point, I think at that age, I was just so angry with life. It was just like, you know what I'm saying? I ran away from foster care. Anyways, long story short, I'd run to a friend's house, and I kept getting my friend in trouble. And you might have heard this story already if you've watched the sex addiction video. But if you haven't watched that, this is your first time hearing the story. Okay, that's why I kind of started from runaway. Anyways, I kept running to a friend's house, and my friend at the time was 17 on house arrest and was staying with their father. And their father was like, we really don't want to get him in any trouble because you're underage and you're a runaway, or we could get in trouble. So I got it. I stopped going there. But I had told my friend, listen, I had met this person, and this person's from Boston or whatever. They said they're going to help me because I did. I was sleeping, I think, outside. I was either sleeping or it was late or whatever. I was outside, and this person comes up to me. It's some man. He's like, oh, you look like you should be home, blah, 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 blah. And I ended up telling my situation. I'm like, it's a situation, blah, 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 blah. So basically, I was sleeping outside. Oh, I'll help you. Me being young and stupid, I'm like, okay, you can help me. Talking about he'll take me with his wife, and they'll help me get into school, and because my whole thing was I was venting about being at my grandmother's house and venting about being at the foster home. But then, just how life basically sucked. My life, like literally a couple weeks before that, some craziness happened. If you go and watch the sex addiction video, it kind of breaks it down, kind of, sort of, for the most part. So yeah, I was just going through things, and so I went to my friend that I would always go to, and I'm telling him, like, I don't want to keep getting you in trouble, because even though he wasn't supposed to let me in, he always let me in. To this day, like, we don't talk as much, but to the day, like, he has a place in my heart that nobody could ever fill as far as that goes, because he always made sure I was good, like, always. Anyways, so I was like, I don't want to keep getting you in trouble. I'm just going to go to Boston with this guy. This guy said he's going to help me out, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, on the way to Boston, the guy switches up the story. Oh, instead of going to my wife's house, you're going to go to my cousin's house. But my cousin, we all have the same agreement, and I'm still going to come over every day, and I'm going to do this, that, and the third. And me just being dumb, like, okay. I'm all for it. I wasn't sleeping, finding hallways to sleep in anymore. Like, I literally I'd leave a bed and leave. Like, I don't know what was going on, like, with me, to the point where I just didn't. I was willing to leave guaranteed food, a bed to sleep in, safety, and everything, just because, like, I was angry and I didn't want no parts of anything. Like, and it got to a point where I just started being rebellious, and it was just like, okay, nobody understands. I'm not worth fighting for. Anyways, long story short, we can go into that another time. Sorry, anyways, so I end up going to Boston. We get to the cousin's house, and now this is a trigger warning. If you cannot watch anything, if talking about certain things as far as like traumatic things might upset you, you might want to cut this off now, because I'm about to go into the things that happened during this time where I felt as though, now as an adult looking back, I can say that I was human trafficked. Then I wouldn't know. I knew it was wrong. I knew I didn't want to do it, and I knew this, but I'm about to tell this story as an example for you guys to see that this is happening right here in our own communities, with our children and young children. And sometimes they don't even have to leave the house for it to happen. So anyways, long story short, let me get back to the story, right? Anyways, so we get there. Obviously, the first thing I want to do is take a shower, because I had been outside, I'd been sleeping, I'd been stealing underwear, everything from like CVS deodorant shit, so I could survive. So, but I haven't really been able to wash my behind besides washing up in like a McDonald's sink or something. So first thing I wanted to do was take a shower. And I get in the shower, in the bathroom. The door didn't have a lock on it. I get in the shower, and as I'm washing my body and stuff like that, almost done to get out, the guy who brought me down there, he comes in to the bathroom, and he's peeing at first, and then he starts undressing or whatever, and then he starts to get into the shower. As I'm getting, I see that he wants to shower, so I'm like, oh, okay, let me get out. So as I'm stepping out and he's stepping in, he grabs my arm to kind of like pull me back into the shower. Mind you, I had literally just lost like my virginity in like a shitty situation like a week or so prior to this, a few days or a week or so prior to this, around like between a week and a couple days and a week. I can't remember exactly, it's been so long, but it was in like that short time frame. And so here I am, just like, okay, I'm uncomfortable. This man is like 20, I think he was 21, 27. He was 27, and the cousin, I think, was 31 or something like that. The age is fuzzy, but I just knew they got way too damn old to be dealing with me, and I was 13. Knew I was 13. Long story short, so I'm stepping, trying to step out. He's stepping in. We 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Grab my arm, and he pulls me back into the shower. And I'm just like, oh well, I'm done. You know, I'm done. I don't need to. You know, I just need a towel. Oh, there's no towels. I'm like, okay. So he starts touching on me and whatever, and he's, you know, kind of aggressive. So he's touching on me and stuff like that, and I'm just like, you know, I really don't. You know, I really don't, and I was in pain. And when I say just lost my virginity, I mean like willingly, kind of, sort of. Like, I don't mean like, because we all know, if you've seen the videos, I don't really know when I officially lost my virginity. But willingly, like for the first time, I was like, okay, I want to lay down and I'm going to do this. Willingly. Kind of, sort of, with, you know, with a bunch of peer pressure, I had just lost my virginity. Anyways, so yeah, I'm trying to get out of the shower, and he's stepping in. There was no towels, and he told me there was no towels, or at first I had to wait till he got out or whatever. But as I'm stepping in, it really wasn't much conversation. It was really very awkward. It was a very like awkward energy because I didn't want to be touched. But it was also that energy where I knew, just let him touch. You know, like it was one of those where you just have to allow it, because it's like, you're now, look at the situation you're in. And not only that, like, okay, they are helping you. Not only that, you done said no a couple times, and it's still, you know, it's still, that energy still there. So now it's to the point where, okay, shut down, you shut down. And a lot of my first everything was a shutdown moment. I even still now mentally, sometimes I shut down, and I gotta get out of it. Anyways, let me get back to the story. So yeah, it was a shutdown moment. And I just remember, you know, I don't even remember fully everything he did. I just remember doing it, and then I had to now clean myself because I felt gross. So now I'm getting out, and my clothes are not there on the ground. They're missing. There's no towels, and I'm asking for a towel to dry off, or at least my clothes, because I can use my clothes to dry off. And my clothes is mysteriously, nobody knows what happened to them, right? So I'm forced to get out of the shower, and I'm forced to dry off. And I'm forced to walk through the house booty naked. And I remember opening the bathroom door. There was a table right there. There's like a room right here, with a bunch of like laundry and shit in it. There was a table, like the kitchen. The bedroom was right here, and then there was like a little living room over on that side. Anyways, right outside the bathroom door, there was a table. At the table, there was a little 8-year-old boy sitting there, and there was a white girl with freckles, who I now know she's 16. But then I didn't know he was 8. I didn't know shit. I just know I'm walking out, and I see these 2 kids, you know, people that look similar to my age, sitting there. And I go into the room, and it's cold, and I'm like, I'm cold, can I have some clothes, because something at least to dry off or whatever. And I'm sitting there on the corner of the bed, like, and the guy who brought, I don't want to say his name, because I know people probably know him, because I've said his name a few times, talking, just talking, and I've seen it, like, him in the paper and stuff, so I don't want to say his name. So I'm trying not to step up and say their names. But anyways, so I'm sitting there at the corner of the bed. I'm cold. And the dude who brought me down there, he comes in to the room. And the cousin was already in there. And they're talking in their language. And I'm just like, okay. But, you know, I don't understand what they speak. And I'm just sitting there like, I need a towel, I'm cold, I'm wet type thing. And so he starts touching on me, the cousin starts touching on me or whatever, and, you know, touching me in places and stuff, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my, in my head, like, not again. This is what I'm thinking, like, oh my. And I was so uncomfortable. I think at that point I kind of just shut down. I was so uncomfortable. Anyways, so the cousin starts touching on me and stuff like that, and I'm kind of like looking at the person who brought me there, like, are you gonna say something, or are you okay with this type thing? Like, you know, like, I still do that still. I'll look to the person. I've learned to not do that. I've learned to open my motherfucking mouth. But I still have found myself in situations, even recently, where you look to the person in a situation that brought you in that situation and expect them to fix it. And I don't necessarily always mean like in a sexual situation, but in general, like, you put me in this situation, what you about to do about it? And before I wouldn't say shit, I just shut down. Now I don't necessarily, well, it depends on the situation. But for the most part, I won't shut down. I'm gonna open my mouth about it and be like, okay. Anywho, but he didn't. He just was there. Like, that's almost like it was a plan. Now that I'm older, I know it was a plan. But back then, I was just like, I felt so betrayed, kind of, because I trusted this person, and I shouldn't have, because I didn't know the person. So now that I'm older, there's a lot of things that look. Anyways, let me just tell the story, Whitney. But anyways, so he never said anything, obviously. And the cousin, because I felt really uncomfortable, you could see it all over me, he stopped and he was just looked at him, then looked at me, and then he started talking to him, and then he asked me, you know, oh, so he didn't tell you? I'm like, didn't tell me what? And I'm cold and I'd like to dry off, but didn't tell me what? Well, he didn't tell you that if you was gonna stay here, you're gonna have to work for me? And I'm young, stupid, like, work for you? I'm too young to work. I'm 13, I can't work. But I can try and like work under the table maybe, or something like that. And he just looked at his cousin. They started arguing in their language, and he's like, no, I mean like work for me. Then it hit me. Oh, okay. I've heard that before when people talked about what my mom did, and they'd say, oh, you know, she works such and such street, or she be out there working. And I'm like, oh, no. I said I would never do that. You know, my mom does that. I don't want to do that. And from a young age, it was, oh, you're going to be just like your mother. So I definitely was not trying, no. But see, there was a problem. The problem was that the cousin never told me, and he was supposed to tell me. And because he brought me there, now I have no choice type of thing. It was like, you don't have, you have no choice. Because he was supposed to confirm this with you before you got here type of thing. And I remember him saying, well, there's only 2 ways out of here. That's in a body bag, or if you get arrested by the police. And if you get arrested by the police, you don't know us, basically, is what I was told. But in a not so aggressive way. It was very passive aggressive, kind of like, well, dear, this is the situation type thing. Long story short, they had their way. Like, I wasn't fighting it. I wasn't about to be like, no. Like, I'd say no, or I don't want to, and I'm hurting, I'm in pain, and things like that. But at the end of the day, it didn't matter. So you stop saying no. You start just kind of like, you shut down, literally. It's literally a shutdown, and you start complying. Because then you start seeing things that happen when you don't comply. This is human trafficking, you guys. It's happening right in our own cities. Really, you shut down and you comply because you're scared. And then not only that, it's like, okay, well, I'm hungry. Now I really don't know where I am because I'm away out of town. So now I'm scared to leave, and scared to leave for multiple reasons. One, I leave. What if they come after me? 2, I leave. What if something else happens to me? Because at least here with these people, I know what to expect for the most part. If I leave, I don't know where the hell I'm at, and somebody else that's worse get a hold of me, then what? So it's a whole bunch of things that go on. I ended up submitting. I ended up submitting to the bullshit. And a lot of my first sexual experiences happened there. The first time I really drank alcohol was there because they'd forced me to. And I actually seen the alcohol the other day in the store. And for the first time in all these years, like, I actually like focused in, and it took me back to that time. The very first alcohol I've ever had was Parabang. And I was forced to drink it, literally forced to drink it. And this girl, she was 16. They call her Alizé. She's the first female I ever been with, and had sexual experiences with. Being older, looking back, these guys definitely were on like some kind of sex high. I don't know if they was doing other drugs, because I was just young and stupid. I didn't know shit. My very first night there was horrible. I'm just gonna say, like, I never got close. I never got a towel. Right after I got out the shower, the cousin had his way with me. Then him and the cousin had his way with me. Then he had the girl come in, Alizé come in, had their way with me. I walked around, and I don't know if it was like some type of humiliation process that they do or something. But the first night there, maybe they were trying to see how much I could deal with. But now that I look, it was just bad. Like, I never got clothes. I was walking around that whole night naked. I remember falling asleep on the corner, on the corner of the bed, laid back like that, with the dude who brought me down there, his cousin, playing his game system. And then the other girl, she had clothes on. She must have been there for a while, but she had clothes on. So I'm just laid there, laid out naked. And then I remember being woken up in the middle of the night. And he's like, get up, get up, get up. My friend, he's going away for college, and you're my treat to him, basically. Like, get up, get up, get up. It was the middle of the night. I still was naked, no blanket, nothing. So I remember getting up, and being walked to the bathroom, and there was this big dude. He was obviously much older because he's going away for college, but just sitting there, and I was so tired. I was in so much pain. And so I had to like sit on top of him or whatever and ride him on the toilet. And I just couldn't. Like, my legs was sore. My whole body was sore. My insides was sore. And I was tired. Like, I probably slept maybe like a couple hours, if that. So I just couldn't. And that guy, I remember him looking me in my face and just like, yo, how old are you, yo? And I was scared to tell him. He's like, really, how old are you? I was like, if I tell you, you can't tell so-and-so. Nah, don't worry about that. I'm not gonna say nothing. So I told him. The second I told him, he was like, get off me, bro. He was like, what? Get off me. And so that guy, I'll never forget. Because he could have been like, oh, okay, well, whatever. I'm in it already. But now he was like, get off me. And he's like, don't worry. I'll tell him I had a great time. I'm still going to pay him, blah, blah, blah. And that was it. Like, I never seen that dude again. Then I ended up going back into the room. I was nervous. I really was. I was nervous. But I ended up going back in the room. And then the cousin starts touching me again. Mind you, the one who brought me there, he wasn't there. He left, went home to his wife. Okay? And was coming back the next day. He literally just he set me up. Like, that man didn't give a clearly now we know he didn't give a fuck about me. He saw me, a young girl on the run, sleeping outside. It was getting cold, and he saw an opportunity to take advantage, and that's what happened. Because that guy, I barely seen him after that. He was home with his wife and kids and stuff like that, so he was just a recruiter, if that makes any sense. The kidnapper. So let me stop. I mean, I can laugh now about it because I can. It's over with. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is life. I've learned from that. And not only that, like, Other people can learn from it. So I could laugh about it now. I'm not about to sit here and boohoo and cry like if shit happened. What the fuck you want? What am I gonna do? So yeah, anyways, that first night was the absolute worst. Like the absolute worst. Then the next day, they named me Peaches. So they had to go out and get a bunch of shit that smelled like peaches. Everything I smelled like straight up peaches. And they went and got me like some clothes from Forever 21 and had me dressed in basically lingerie with a trench coat. So when I say they got me clothes, they got me cute underwear and a really cute trench coat and some boots, them high boots, and they basically dressed me up to look a lot older than what I was. But there's nothing you could have done. Look at my face now at 31. Imagine me at 13. There was nothing you could have done because people would always ask, how old are you really? Anyway, so that situation, they went and got a bunch of stuff. Then we find out later, because from that we had to go to a bachelor party. I don't know if it was Alize who told me or it was him who told me. Do you know how to dance? I think it was him. Do you know how to dance? And I'm like, no, not really. I don't know how to dance. Well, I need you to strip. So the first time even like attempting to strip, I was shy, so they didn't really leave me down there stripping. But my first time attempting to strip and stuff like that, was with them people. Like, I was so young, like the things that I know I keep bringing up the story because it's overwhelming. So the next thing that happened, the next crazy thing that happened after that, was at the bachelor's party. And so like I said, they attempted to have me strip. It just didn't work because I was shy. I didn't want to do it. And like I always had an attitude, always. But with them, I kind of knew to tone it down like a lot or else. So he put me upstairs in a room and stood outside the door collecting money with a basket of condoms in his hand. And that night, it kind of comes like in bits and pieces, because I blacked out so much of it. I didn't want to I just didn't. I don't want to. I really don't want to remember that shit. And then it's kind of embarrassing to talk about. That's why I can't kind of because I'm like, do I really want to say that? Parts of me is like, don't say that, and then other parts of me like, say that. People need to hear that shit. So that's kind of like, do I really? But yeah, he had me upstairs in a room, and when I say it was a line of grown ass men, all of these men, most of them were married at a bachelor's party in Jamaica Plains, Boston, sleeping with underage girls and watching underage girls strip. We weren't the only ones. I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know if he had to pay the person or the person for the bachelor party paid him, but we weren't the only ones there. I don't know how that works, but there was another dude and his two girls there, and then it was the dude we was with and then us, but we were clearly both very underage. And people didn't care. People did not care. I remember people smacking Alize's butt. She was so pale, freckles all over her body. She'd get red, like bloodshot red, pomegranate red. So I just remember looking at her all the time with just red hand marks all over her. That night was the worst because it just seemed like I never moved from that spot. I stayed in whoever's bed that was. I hope it was not the man who's getting married. I hope that was not his house. But I stayed in that bed literally the whole night. Mind you, before that, we had just got back from working the street. He had us working Chinatown and working downtown Boston area and stuff like that. So I thought we was gonna go sleep. We had left there probably, I want to say like 1:30, 2 a.m., something like that. I thought we was gonna, he said, the night's still young. I thought we was just gonna go rest because Alizé did pretty good that night. If I remember correctly, I remember him saying, "Oh, Alizé, you did good this night. That's why you my bottom bitch." Blah blah blah. And Alizé used to be mad hype, like yeah, in front of him, only in front of him. Anyways, long story short, so I thought, my body was tired. I was tired mentally. I was exhausted. I was just, period. I wanted to go to sleep. So that whole night, that's one reason why I wasn't dancing either. Like I wasn't trying to dance. I couldn't dance, and I wasn't. And I told him, well, I never danced before, so he kind of let me off the hook. But him letting me off the hook is him telling me to go. Okay, well then you just go upstairs, and when the guys get horny or whatever after doing down here that thing, then they come upstairs to you. And that's kind of how that night went. And I just remember looking at the ceiling, and the room was spinning. I don't even think then I even knew what I was doing. So these guys, they either had to know I was young and was getting off on me being young, or they just wanted a mannequin because that's what they had. And to this day, I just never understood. I was just like, what? Anyways, after the party was pretty much all said and done and everybody was getting ready to leave and we were leaving, the actual dude that was gonna get married and his best man come into the room. They come into the room and they start doing stuff or whatever. And at this point, Alizé is brought into it. So it's me, Alizé, the best man, and the man that's supposed to get married. At this point, I'm half dead. I'm just like, but I remember the man that's supposed to be married being on top of me. Like, and he was talking to me saying something about how young, I don't know what kind of mind game he was playing, but he was talking to me about how young I looked, but how hot it was because of how young I looked, but how he didn't want to get married. Like, he was just saying a bunch, I think he was just drunk, but how he didn't want to, oh, if I wasn't getting married, this, that, I don't know. I really don't. I don't remember what the guy's face looks like. So I could see these people. That's why I don't want to say no names or anything either, because I remember two faces, kind of, sort of. I've seen one of them again and pretended like I didn't remember them, or they pretended like they didn't know who I was, which is fine. But they had actually came in, the same guy who brought me down there, I've seen again since then. I want to say in 2014 or 15, I had seen him, but I was a lot bigger then. And I probably didn't look nothing like I looked when I was 13 because I was so big. Y'all seen how big I was. But he approached me as if he didn't know me. And that creeped the shit out of me because I'm like, what if he knows who I am and he's just fucking with me? Anyway, so I was going, my anxiety went woo-woo for like a whole couple months after that because I was like, anyways, long story short. I mean, back to the story. I keep saying long story short. It's a long story. Sorry, I can't keep it short. That night was horrible. Basically had this big foursome thingy or whatever, and I don't really remember much of any of it except the smell. I could smell him, and I don't want to say what he smelled like because I don't want to be that person that be like, all such and such people smell like that. But I just remember a smell that I didn't like. And I'm reminded of that smell often when I'm around certain people. But I remember that. After that, I remember we had to work the street again. I don't know if it was the next day. I think we might have had a day off. Like, oh, you guys did so great yesterday. Anyways, I think we had like a day off. And even the day off wasn't a day off. The day off was a day off from going out there and having to walk around and be cold. The day off was that. It was, you still have to work, but y'all could work in the house with people, trusted people that I have been working with for years, basically. Like, if somebody I know is good people, call, then y'all gotta work. Anyways, so that was our day off. Anyways, so we had the day off, and then I think it was like the next day or something, we all went back out. We were working around Chinatown, something like that. We got a call, okay, that Alizé had ran off with the client's car. She was running away. Like I said, remember I said earlier, Alizé would always be hyped, like, yeah, I'm the bottom B, blah, 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 around him. But when it was just me and her, she did not want to be there. She was scared. She didn't want to be there. Things had happened to her with them. And so she kind of just played her role, her part good. But she had ran off with the client's car. And I just remember him spazzing, oh, this stupid bitch, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. And he went and picked up the client. The client got in the car and he asked the client, oh, you know what your car looks like, right? Blah, blah, blah. And I was in the back with the cousin that brought me down there. They ain't shit motherfucker that brought me down there. And somebody else. Who the hell else was there? I don't know. But somebody else was there, remember? And then he's like, you know what your car looked like? And he knew. I know where she's going. I know. She was trying to go, like, leave, go home. It was running down the highway, like, speeding down the highway, and ended up somehow catching up with her in the middle of the highway. He sped past the car, stopped the car in front of her car, and like a dummy, she stopped and got out. Mind you, this is on the highway. Okay, she stopped and he dragged her out. He like pulled her out, dragged her out, beat her down in the middle of the street, and dragged her back to the car, apologized to the dude or whatever, and that was the end of that. But when we got back to the house, oh my God. When we got back to the house, he beat the living out of her. Like I said, she's pale, freckles, red hair, everything. Like, she's so pale, you could probably paint the wall with her skin complexion and you wouldn't know it wasn't white. I'm just saying, she's pale. And I just remember her screaming. He beat her with a machete, like the flat side. Like the machete is long, but he would beat her with the flat side where it would only nip her, almost like a small knife cut. It would nip her body. So he beat her all over her body with the machete, and then beat her with a belt on top of that, all over her body. And he made me watch as an example, like, this is what happens. And then he made her sleep on her knees. That night, I remember he made her sleep on her knees at the edge of the bed. And she couldn't bend over, slouch, anything. Like, she had to be awake. And if he saw that she wasn't, like, say he rolled over and woke up out his sleep and saw her, like, or saw her, he'd beat her again. So I was like, damn, that's what happens. That moment, really. Well, something else had happened, but that and something else that happened was when I was working, and there was this dude who kept trying to talk to me or whatever, and we have rules. You're not supposed to talk. Like, I don't really remember the rules, but I think it was you weren't supposed to talk to other people if you're out walking the street. Like, they have to be in a car, or I don't know. And we gotta walk on the side of the street. We couldn't walk on the sidewalk, like, just so people knew. It was just weird. And on top of that, either the cousin who brought me down there or the cousin I was staying with was always somewhere behind me, not far, watching. So I was always scared. Like, anyways, long story short, this person comes up and they tried talking to me. Oh, I think we weren't supposed to talk to dudes in a car or something. I don't know, because they might be trying to be other pimps, trying to pull you in or something. I don't remember. But long story short, this dude was trying to talk to me, and I just knew there was a rule. I couldn't fully remember the rule, so I was ignoring him. And he's like, oh, all right, watch. So then, before that, like, I think this was like one of my first nights where I was just out by myself, and what's her name was already with someone. And then I had either, one of the guys that was behind me. always watching. Like literally, they were never far. They watched you, make sure you was doing what you were supposed to do. So I didn't want to talk to this guy because I couldn't really fully remember the rule. But prior to that, anybody I saw, they already arranged. So I was just like, oh. But then I'm also like, if I don't go back, if I don't go back with anything, I'm not trying to get my ass beat either. um. Anyways, this guy, obviously he felt like I was stunting on him, ignoring him, whatever. Anyways, so the guy approaches me again. I'm not sure if he was out of the car or out. I think he was out of the car this time. Um, and I ended up getting in the car with the guy. I get in the car, and behind me there was somebody holding a gun to my head in the car. So now I'm mute because, as I said, I shut down. I'm mute. And I remember just going with this guy to his mom's house, and he had a gun to me the whole time. First it was a person behind had the gun, and then when we got to the mom's house, he ended up having it and just had it to me basically, and then the person left with the car. And I remember him telling me to shush because his mom was sleeping. I don't know why I shushed. I think I was scared, but I definitely shushed. But I remember this guy, he was older, like he had to be 45, the youngest, 45. He kept telling me to shush, don't say nothing before I wake up his mom. And I remember having to do 69 with this guy, his butt looking up and seeing hairy, gray, saggy, wrinkly balls. It was just a lot of things. Like, he put the gun inside my vagina. And he was saying things like, he knew I was young. He knew, like, they all knew. Come on, he looked at me. They knew I was young. And he kept wanting me to just tell him my real age. Tell me your real age. Tell me your real age. And sickos. I swear, like, when it hits you that you just grew up around a bunch of fucking pedophiles. Like, anyways, he knew. Like, he was putting the gun in me, then rubbing it on my face. He was, oh, I'm gonna take you back to his country. He was saying, I'm gonna take you back to my country. In my country, they don't care if you're that age, and all kinds of stuff. And I thought, for a moment, I thought that guy was gonna kill me. I was like, this guy gonna do something to me, because where he was speaking, it was almost like he wasn't here. You know, he was speaking like this whole nother like world he wanted to happen, and it was like mentally he wasn't like where everybody else was. So I was like, oh man, this guy's gonna kill me. And I remember laying there like thinking, what if he pulls the trigger with the gun in my vagina? Like, is there even a bullet in there? Like, all kinds of stuff I remember thinking. So I just remember just shutting down. Actually, I shut down, but I tried to play into it, if that makes any sense. Like, oh, he'd ask me, oh, would you come with me to my country? I'm not about to tell that man no, and he got a gun in my vagina. Oh yeah, of course I'm coming with you. So I shut down, but I also was in survival mode, which was just play to this man's fantasy or whatever, and so you can get out of there. And that's pretty much what happened. I was with him for a while. I don't remember exactly the time frame, but I know it was a lot longer than I was supposed to be. And I remember then when he finally was like, okay, I'm gonna drop you back, thinking, oh, I can't go back without anything, and I've been gone this long. So it was like fear regardless. I was scared being there, and then I was scared of him just taking me back. And I don't have nothing, and I've been gone that long. What's gonna happen to me? I just seen what happened to Alizé type thing. But, oh. So anyways, he ends up taking me back right exactly where he picked me up, and to my surprise, they were there. So I remember running up to the dude, the cousin that I was staying with. Oh, you're not gonna believe what just happened. And I'm crying, boohoo, scared. And he kind of was like, no emotion in his face and nothing, just like, I know. But he paid me enough to where if he would have killed you, it didn't matter anyways. I was like, this man knew. Oh, so again, that confirmed to me that he was around. They always are around. Even when you think you by yourself, they're around. They know. Like, paying attention to everything. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, was that whole thing a test? Was that whole thing literally like, did he just get paid? But it didn't make sense to me. Now that I'm an adult, it still don't make sense to me, because this guy was living with his mama, so he couldn't have had enough to pay you. So how much was my life worth? Now that I'm an adult, I want to ask that. How much was my life worth? 2 hours, bro? I'm confused, because I was not gone that. I was gone longer than I was supposed to be, but it wasn't that long. And then not only that, like, I was so, it was then I knew, like, okay, we really need to get out of this situation. There was too much going on. The stuff that happened with Alizé. Then I didn't even mention when we went to go get subs from the Italian sub place somewhere in Boston, some Italian sub restaurant. And the guy in there, he says to, well, Alizé was making jokes. And she says to the guy, because she's drunk, he's Italian, and he said, oh, what's a guinea or something like that, because she's like, I think that's equivalent of saying nigger, but to an Italian. I don't know, but I don't know, I'm stupid, I'm just 13 to sit there watching her. And he goes, well, what's a nigger? Mind you, Alizé's white, so the people we were with, they got hype because we black, they black, black whatever, they have black skin complexion. So he, the dude, the cousins whose house I was staying with, he got hyped. Like, what you mean? First of all, what that got to do with her? She's not even black. She's Irish. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's white, pale white. Well, you guys are black, blah blah blah. And so they just got into it. Long story short, I remember him going to the car, the person's house I was staying at, the cousin, going to the car, grabbing his machete, and coming back into the restaurant, the Subway place. Not Subway, the Italian sub place. And I don't know, after that, my heart, I seen what he do. I seen he would do. And so I knew I need to leave. And that's what I did. I just remember going outside, getting in the car, and looking at Alizé like, what did you do? And I started crying because I was like, I don't want no parts of this. And I just remember him coming out, oh, we gotta go. And that was that. We gotta go. And we ended up, after that, we either went back working or went back to the house. I don't remember. But I just knew that was another situation where I just knew all this was in like a week and a half time frame. My poor body, mentally exhausted, everything, all of this was just like back to back to back to back to back to back to back. So I knew, I was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And so one night we went working, and I ended up doing everything they said not to do in front of police. Oh, I did. I unbuttoned the trench coat, like, unbuttoned the trench coat. I was looking like a straight up hoe, for real, with the outfit I had on. And then when the police come, I guess you're supposed to hop back onto the curb and walk them, button you up, pretend like you ain't doing shit. I seen the police on his bike coming my way, everything. And I remember looking back and seeing this dude's face like, what are you, like, what are you doing? I got back on the curve. I was walking on the curve, up against the sidewalk, everything, like, come get me. This is too much. Come get me. And that's what happened. The police had pulled up, and I basically was just like, it is exactly what you think it is, okay? And then obviously the person that was always watching me, I believe that night it was the person who brought me there. It was the cousin who brought me there. If I remember, it was that night. It was the cousin who brought me there that was watching. But I remember seeing him dip off. And I was like, it's exactly what you think I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But they didn't end up leaving it on my record because I told them the whole truth. And I said, this is the situation, and these are the things that happened. And come to find out that the people that had me in that situation are well known for that, and they've been looking for them. And then not only that, they're known, they want it for some other dangerous stuff too. So I was like, okay. Then after all that happened, because I was in DCF custody, and DCF at the time, was I in full custody of them or partial? I don't know. But anyways, I was in their custody. They ended up putting me into a mental institution because they said that I put myself in an unsafe situation. So that's how they dealt with that. I never understood that. And recently I wrote a letter to them asking for my records, because I really want to see what the hell they wrote and what the hell they told my father, because it wasn't the truth. Whatever they told my father definitely wasn't the truth. And I tried to talk to my father. It was like he didn't give a shit about nothing I had to say. His mind was set that I was a hoe, and that was it. That was his mindset, and his mindset has always been that way. So, and I guess, I don't know, like I had literally just left there. I was staying with him. I stayed with him for like 7 months. I came back to Massachusetts because he said that I was being sexually inappropriate down there, which I probably was, but there was things going on that he didn't care to even pay attention to. And I had just got my ass beat for having sex, and I didn't. So then I did right after that. Really went and have it, because I was peer pressured by my cousin to do it. Anyways, so this was all like within within a month. I ended up coming back, and then my grandma didn't want me here, so she's like, I don't want you here, and I think I ended up leaving, and then they put me in a foster home. But this is all like within like very short time frame. Like literally I got back, I didn't want to be here, and I ended up leaving, and then I left the foster home literally, and then I went to my friend's house, and then my friend was like, you can't keep coming here with you, you're gonna get me in trouble. And then that's how I met that guy, and then that guy took me out there. So yeah, but that's human trafficking. Okay, that's what human trafficking looks like. I was a child. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. Can't nobody try and tell me that's what the fuck I wanted to do at 13. Get the fuck out of here. I was a child. I was a child who was in a very bad situation that I admit I might have put myself in, but I was in a bad situation, and there was a grown-ass man who saw that and took advantage of that. And not only did he take advantage of that, his family took advantage of that, and they abused the situation, knowing that I had nowhere to go, knowing that I was gonna be hungry and I'm gonna want to eat, knowing that I was underage, and a runaway. You're a runaway. The last thing you want to see is police, because police are gonna take you exactly where you just left from. So yeah, that's what sex trafficking is. Child trafficking of our women and children and stuff like that. It's exactly that. It's not always some memoirs of the geisha shit. A lot of times it's right in your neighbor next door type bullshit. You might have a neighbor right next door who live next to you that got a bunch of young girls that they exploiting, you know what I'm saying, or they trying to get money for. They got out working the street or whatever, and these young girls mentally at that time, they might be okay with that because they might be homeless, they might be runaways, they might feel like this person cares about them, and so why not I help them Help me. Like, fuck out of here. As an adult, our minds are wired way different than a child's. A child not is so naive. I know I was so naive, and I just thought people cared and people really just wanted to help. And you end up putting yourself, or you end up in situations where you are constantly finding out that is not the case. And sometimes you don't realize that until you're an adult. And so then it makes sense the damage that was done, because things you thought were normal ain't normal. Now, I'm not saying I then thought that was normal. I knew damn well at 13 that that was not okay. Didn't want to do it. Didn't want to be there. But I also had to weigh my options too, because I had learned that those people were dangerous. So I had to be smart about leaving. Anyways, I'm just saying that's human trafficking, that's sex trafficking, and a lot of you guys shouldn't be making, a lot of people should stop making light about it, because it's not funny. It's happening right here in our own city. And if you was to ask someone close to me, do they know someone who was human trafficked? Even after hearing this story, they're probably gonna say no, because their idea of what it means to be sexually trafficked is something else. We all know someone, I'm sure. So that's probably why you hear all these stories about sex trafficking, because it's real and it's happening right here, right next door, right everywhere. It's real. It just because it don't look like what you thought it should look like doesn't mean that it's not sex trafficking. It is. So really, we need to start thinking about how we can protect the young people of our community, not so much, oh, haha, everybody got a sex trafficking story. No, you want to know what? A lot of people have been, everybody got a story. And a lot of people have been in that situation. I know a lot of girls who have been in that situation. I grew up in programs, like, I spent 6 years of my life in residential group homes, foster homes, DYS, all kinds of shit. So I met a lot of girls who have the same story. So why is it so hard for people to understand that it's real? And yeah, there are a lot of people with a sex trafficking story, because the shit is happening every day. Every day to our children. We need protection. Okay, where's the protection? Same people we look into to protect us be the same mofos that be looking to misuse and abuse us. The same mofos that is taking your child, your best friend, right? You got a friend, somebody you went to school with, around your age, fucking your daughter. Oh yeah. In your head, you feel as though if so-and-so was ever to see my daughter in a situation, or if so-and-so was ever this, oh, they'd look out for me. No, that motherfucker's gonna take full advantage of your daughter, and that's what they do. I'm just saying. So, I don't know. This is where we live in. What are we gonna do about it?